16th Finance Commission has been submitting its report in the Parliament, and it is a very important aspect to learn about the Finance Commission. Hello everyone, welcome to Law Excellence. This is Pratyusha. In this session, we're going to discuss about the different aspects related to the 16th Finance Commission. Now, when we see the Finance Commission that is being constituted for every 5 years is under the Article 280. Under the Article 280 is where we find the 16th Finance Commission. All the finance commissions have been constituted, and it is constituted every 5 years. And the 16th Finance Commission was being chaired by Dr. Aravind Panagaria, and it is the report will be observed and recommendations will be followed by the government from the period 2026-27 to 2030 and 31. And it is being tabled in the 1st of February 2026. Now, when we see what is this Finance Commission and what are its recommendations, in what functions are being present. Now, 16th Finance Commission or the rest of the Finance Commission majorly will be doing two things. One, whenever the taxes are being collected from the public, these taxes, how it is being shared between the center and the states. Now, this is where we have the vertical devolution is being present. Then the second one that will be coming up is the horizontal devolution. Now, whatever the state's percentage is being present, in that also which state should have how much amount of percentage of the taxes should go. Now, this is being decided by the Finance Commission. Not only that, there is also an article 275 where the government will give grants in aid. Now, this grants in aid to the local government, urban local bodies, rural governments that are being there, local governments that are being present. Now, this share is also being given by the Finance Commission. And not only that, we are also having the disaster financing. So, disaster management, which is very important in the today's climate change phenomena. Now, disaster management funding, how much amount should be going for which state, how much. Now, everything is being given by the 16th Finance Commission. Now, let's see the share. Now, as the 15th Finance Commission has been told, the same percentage of the share between the center and the states is being followed. So, even the 16th Finance Commission has represented the share between the center and the state as a 41%. So, 41% of the tax collected will be going towards the state governments. And not only that, please remember this point, the divisible pool excludes. So, whatever the taxes that are being collected, there is a gross it will be present. Now, this gross, there is an exclusions, subtraction of this amount also is been, and three things they will be subtracting. First, the cess, surcharge and the cost of the tax collection. So, the three amounts together will be subtracted from the total tax that is being collected, and the rest of the one, the 41% will be devoluted towards the state. Now, when we see the criteria for the tax devolution, there is small changes that have been brought when we see the 15th Finance Commission and the 16th Finance Commission. And please remember, the criteria is also important. In 2023 and 2025 prelims, we found the questions have been coming in the budget and the Finance Commission. They asked what is the criteria that is being taken into the consideration under the Finance Commission. So, this concept is very important, and in the changes that has been brought in the 16th Finance Commission is another aspect where we can observe the prelims 2026 question can be observed. So, when we see the criteria, so the 15th Finance Commission had the different criteria where income distance 45%, population 15%, demographic performance 12%, then area 15%, forest 10%, and the tax and fiscal efforts 2.5%. Now, see the difference. So, income distance in the 16th Finance Commission was being reduced to 42.5%. So, what is the income distance and what are these criteria? We will be discussing. Then the population change has been increased towards the 17.5%. Then we have demographic performance will be reduced towards the 10%. Area is being reduced to 10%. Forest is the same, but small changes in what type of forest that have been calculated we are observing. And here the 16th Finance Commission has removed the tax and the physical efforts. Instead, it added a different measure, different indicator, that is the contribution to the GDP, Now let's see each one of them, how they have been present, how they have been calculated. First thing, when we see the income distance, so when we see the GSDP of the states have been varying. Some are very high performing GSDPs have been there. Some states we have very low performing GSDPs has been there. Now when we see the income distance is the one which is being calculated by measuring the gap per capita GSDP. So we will be covering and it will be comparing average top 3 richest large states and the lower states. So whenever the richest large state and the lower state distance has been more, according to the distance also the taxes have been devoluted. Then population criteria, so normal. So according to the 2011 census population criteria itself, we are having the devolution of the taxes has been done. Larger population usually get the larger amount of the share. To ensure the fairness in resources and continuous the methodology used by the earlier Finance Commission. Then second, we can talk about the demographic performance. One thing here is that they have redefined from the total fertility rate to the population growth. So before we used to take the population growth, that to the time period from 2071 towards 2011, the population growth was being calculated. But here we are talking about the total fertility rate that is being present. Now this is where we have been having. And the states with the lower population growth are being rewarded. So whenever the state total fertility rate is being reduced, they have been having more amount of percentage or more amount of the taxes will be devolved to that particular states. Now this is encouraging the population stabilization and also supports long-term developmental planning procedures. Then we have the area and the forest. The area supports the geographical location, how much is the area, square kilometers that are being present for each state has been calculated, and the forest. Now this is where one of the important has been there. Now earlier we have only the dense forest and the moderately dense forest was been there. So earlier 15th Finance Commission we had the dense forest and the moderately dense forest was being calculated. But now we are also calculating the open forest. And we have also considering the increase of the forest cover in 2015 to 2023. Now this is creating large amount of the recognitions of the state in trying to improve the forest cover. It's like a rewarding when the states are improving, increasing in the values and the forest covers. Now that is where the reward from the tax from the government of India will be done. Then we have contribution towards the GDP. Now this is a new concept that has been new indicator that is being utilized by the 16th Finance Commission. Now what is this? Now this new parameter was being introduced where it is having around 10% of the weights, and this is replacing the tax and the physical efforts. So the tax and the physical efforts means that the state which is collecting more amount of tax, more amount of physical efforts that are being putting, they used to have more amount of the devolution of the taxes used to be done. But now what been saying, contribution to the GDP. So the state which is contributing more to the GDP of the India, no, they are been getting 10% of the devolution. Now this is where, now it is like reward again, rewarding the states to contributing for the national economy, encouraging economic productivity and the growth that has been present. Then we will see what is the grants in aid and overview structure, how it is going for the rural, how it is going for the urban areas. So when you see the total grant that we will be seeing in the grants in aid is 9.47 lakh crore has been there. And in this one we have two important components that have been there. One, they have been going towards the local body grant, and the second, as I told, it's been going towards the disaster management grant that has been there. And here they have discontinued. So remember, some changes that have been brought. Now that is where the examiner will be pointing out. So we have discontinued the grants for the revenue deficit, sector specific grants and the state specific grants. Now we are discontinuing these type of grants, but we are only maintaining the two major grants that are being present. Then next we'll talk about the local bodies. So how much is the rural government getting and how much is the urban local bodies that are being present. So when you see the rural bodies are been getting 4.35 lakhs, whereas the urban local bodies have been getting 3.56 lakhs. And you can see here also we have the difference has been present. 20% will be going towards a performance grant and 80% will be going towards the basic grant. No, this is a common phenomena. Basic grant is 80%, and how well the performance has been done by the rural or else the local bodies. Now that is having a 20% of the grant has been there. So as you can see, 80%, 20%, and entry conditions where we find first the local body should be a constitutional of local body, and it has to be audited yearly, accountants have to be published publicly, transparency is being provided, and timely state finance commissions has to be appointed. Now this is where we find the grants in aid overall view that is being given by the finance commission. Then we find urban specific grants. So we have some other grants that are being very specific to the urban, not the basic and the performance. Apart from that, we also have some particular grants given for the urban, because we are trying to increase large amount of urban sustainable planning has been going on. Now this is where we'll be utilizing. So first thing, a special infrastructural grant of 51,100 crores has been given, and for the wastewater and sewage systems, cities with population 10 to 40 lakh, urban premium 10,000 crore has been given. It's a one-time grant. And for the peri-urban and the village mergers, rural-urban transition planning, now this is where the whole grant will be utilized. Then next, we'll talk about the disaster management grant. So as we can see, the Finance Commission also talks about the disaster management grant, which state will be having. Now this is very important. Now this will be determining the SDRF, the State Disaster Response Fund, that will be present in the state government. Now this is been depending on this structure. So first we had a corpus amount. We have 2.4 lakh crores is a corpus amount, and in that one we have the center's share of 1.56. Now we all know that whenever the SDRF is being present, for the general states we have 75-25% is being present, whereas we have the special category states where 90% is being given by the union government and 10% is being given by the state government. So this devolution is again being continued here also. There is no much change in this one. So here 1.56 lakh crore is being given by the central government. And the cost sharing pattern, as we have seen, this is increasing the disaster management in India. Now let's see a small description, an overview that has been there, where the physical roadmap is being present, where the center physical deficit target has been given. So this is where we find 3.5% of the GDP by 3031. Now this is where we are trying to reduce the fiscal deficit. The fiscal deficit should be reaching 3.5% of the GDP, and the state fiscal deficit should be limited to 3% of the GSTP. Now these are two important. For the center it is 3.5 and for the state it is 3%. And a strict ban of off-budget borrowing. All borrowing should be reflected in the budget. So states are having a ban of the off-borrowing nature. Now this is to maintain the transparency and the authority. The debt sustainability, again the combined state, center state debt, 77.3% of GDP should be there by 2026 and 27, and 73%, it's been reduced, 73.1% of GDP by 2030 and 31st. So this is where we are trying to make sure there's long-term physical sustainability and also the long-term physical discipline. So please remember these values, which are very important for the prelims 2026, and also not only that, these values can also be incorporated in the economic answers or the mains answers that you'll be writing. All the best. Thank you.